It was an easy win for Mark Pope and the Wildcats, but did the Wildcats just kind of sleepwalk through this one, or did they show enough effort in order to give us confidence heading into Saturday?
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm not going to lie, almost coughing there right out the gate completely threw me off. What's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on tonight's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we're going to be recapping Kentucky's 103-67 win over NC Central. This was a blowout as expected. Jasper Johnson went off, but did the Wildcats show enough effort, or did they just sort of sleepwalk through this one, I should say? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. I want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love it if you subscribe to the show. And if you were listening on podcast, I would also appreciate it if you subscribed there as well. We are broadcasting live here on YouTube, again, following Kentucky's 103-67 win over NC Central. This was going to be a blowout. We expected this game to be a blowout heading into it. I don't think Kentucky covered, if I'm not mistaken. They won this game by 36. I believe the line was at 38 last time I had checked, and it might have ballooned past that. In fact, I believe it actually did balloon past that at a lot of different places. Yes, the line was 42.5. So NC Central does, in fact, cover, but the Cats improved to 6-4, all 6 of their wins coming against no-name competition. I do want to start here with a positive. Jasper Johnson, I thought, had the best game of his Kentucky career so far. 22 points, 6 of 10 shooting, a couple of threes, one of them at the end there that was really impressive, just smooth. If the kid can build some strength and get some confidence, he is a really good spot-up player. Also got to see him work his way into the paint a couple different times tonight and finish. I really liked what I saw from him. 2 assists to go along with those 22 points in 19 minutes of play. Jasper is somebody that's going to have to step up, full stop, if the Wildcats are going to kind of get themselves out of this slump that they're in. They need kids to step up and start shooting the basketball well. Cam Williams is not doing that up until tonight. Otega Oweh had not been doing that. Trent Noah hasn't really been a volume guy, although he stepped up. Noah and Jasper and Oweh, all 3 of those guys really did step up and help contribute from beyond the arc. Cats end up shooting 41% from 3 in this game. It's all about confidence, man. It's all about confidence and fluidity, making things count in transition. I think the Wildcats did a lot of that tonight. As far as effort on the offensive end, I didn't necessarily see anything that was negative as far as effort on the offensive end, outside of what Brandon Garrison was doing in the first half, which we'll get to him later on in the show. But overall, I mean, there wasn't necessarily anything that wowed you. The Wildcats just sort of played well against a bad opponent. They got out, they made threes, they made 12 of them tonight. They did what they needed to at the rim. They sliced through against an opponent that didn't have the height or physicality to cover the basket. And this was just sort of a mindless win, I think, on offense, outside of, Jasper played really well. And then Trent Noah, I think, they were giving them the corner basically the entire game with the way that they were playing that 1-3-1 zone. You were able to swing the ball around. I think Kentucky could have probably pushed it to the corner a lot more aggressively than they did. Aberdeen a little bit hesitant on some passes that I think he could have let fly either a lot sooner or just had made, period, for some shots in the corner, for Noah, for some different shooters. But again, not anything necessarily crazy positive or crazy negative in either way or in either direction. This was just sort of like we dropped 103 points sort of mindlessly on a really, really bad team, one of the worst teams in the nation. That's not to discredit the fact that the kids actually went out there and played tonight. I'm not sitting here saying that. But I think a lot of you would agree. I'd like to see Kentucky do this, not necessarily 103 points worth of effort, but do this, go out and play with some energy against a team that actually matters, against a Michigan State, against a North Carolina that you should have beaten honestly by double digits, against a Gonzaga, against a Louisville. To be able to put on this performance tonight was nice. You didn't cover, which whatever. You still dropped 103 points. But I want to be able to see you actually go and do this against somebody that matters. And you've got a huge opportunity on Saturday against Indiana, a team that can absolutely run you out of your own gym with the way that they can shoot the basketball. Tonight, I thought that there were some steps possibly in the right direction as far as what Kentucky was doing rotationally, who they were getting the ball to, how they were getting the ball to them, and then also defensively. I did think at moments Kentucky did show a lot of effort in the second half. The fact that NC Central ended up with 7 offensive rebounds in this game, I think at least 3 of them were just lucky, just the way that they bounced off the rim. There were a couple where, again, I'd like to see some more consistent effort, but nothing that's going to wow you, nothing that's going to say, oh, wow, Kentucky really did put it on this team. And we're like coming in fired up into the game on Saturday against Indiana. But again, nothing that was like alarming. Nothing really like crazy, again, outside of Garrison, who I do want to get to here in a little bit and kind of get y'all's thoughts on it. Really appreciate everybody in the live chat. Again, we will get to, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, we're going to get to those here in just a little bit. Captain Crash already with some confident words there in the chat. Appreciate everybody tuning in, by the way. It does not skip past me, the fact that we can just casually pull 100 people here at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday to talk about Kentucky hoops. I really appreciate all you guys. You're what makes this possible, so thank you so much. Before we kind of dive into the rest of the show, and we do get to some of y'all's comments, we already have a question from Great Kentuckian. I want to tell you guys about our friends over at Omaha Steaks. The holidays come with 2 big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the right way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience, and it's right to your door. Because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, pretty sweet name, you can stock up and save in a huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. It gets even better. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. It's really easy to gift. They show up frozen, packed beautifully, ready to cook. There's so many different options: fillets, burgers, comfort meal sides, desserts. You can build a box for literally anyone. It's holiday magic made really easy. Save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code COLLEGE. All right, continuing along here on tonight's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Recapping Kentucky basketball's 103-67 win over NC Central. Cats improved to 6-4. Would have liked a little bit better of a record at this point, but nonetheless, we will take a win where we can get it. Cats shoot over 40% from 3, 60% from the floor. Oweh, Moreno, and Jasper and Noah played very well tonight, I thought. Really impressed with some of the decision-making, I think, overall from this team. Just 9 turnovers, 2 of them coming from, again, Brandon Garrison, who we will get to later in the show. But first, a question. Actually, yeah, we'll just go ahead and get to it now because Great Kentuckian is asking about it. Hey, Lance, there was a video of Pope breaking his board because of Garrison's bad effort. I saw people say on X that he did. I didn't see him break the board. That must have happened during the timeout, but you did see on the live broadcast when Brandon Garrison turned the ball over, very lousy pass, and he walked back on defense. Did not get back on defense to try and even try and contest a shot. Mark Pope called a timeout, came onto the court screaming at Garrison to go sit down. Sit down. You're done. Sit down. And he did not play the rest of the game. Garrison finished this game in 7 minutes, 5 points, 1 of 2 shooting, made all 3 of his free throws. He had a couple of assists, a couple of turnovers. To go back to what I've said, man, about BG, it's not like he's some world-class talent. It's the system that gives him his statistical efficiencies. And whenever he's doing things like he did tonight, turning the ball over and not even trying to get back on defense, any coach within their right mind is going to sit that kid and not play them the rest of the game. Frankly, I wouldn't play him against Indiana, mostly because of the fact that Indiana's post presence is not the strongest in the world, and you can probably get away with Yelovich at the 5. Shoot, he played well against North Carolina down low, so why can't you try him here again? I would not play Brandon Garrison one more minute, knowing that Jaden Quaintance is coming back at some point in the next few weeks. I am sick and tired of the lackadaisical effort that he is giving on the court. It is pathetic. It is an inexcusable thing to see from a Kentucky basketball player. That's not a good representation of who this is as a university, as a men's basketball program, as a basketball program, period. I don't want to see another minute out of Brandon Garrison until he can fix his attitude and fix his effort, because that is what is the problem right now. Not caring enough. Pathetic excuse of a basketball performance tonight from Brandon Garrison, all summed up in one moment. I don't care if he was playing like his life depended on it. Outside of that one moment, you would at the very least done for this game. Sick and tired of that crap. Get it out of here. But to answer your question again, great Kentuckian, did not see Pope break the board. Not going to lie to you. If I had been in his shoes, I probably would have done the same thing. I probably would have snapped it over my own head just to show how angry I was, because I am sick and tired of that crap. Get back and contest a shot. My goodness, you 6'10", 250-pound plus human being. Go back and contest the rim, especially after turning the ball over with such a stupid pass. I don't get it. Omaha Steaks is the official steaks of Peyton Manning. Pretty sick. Of course, pretty sick. Let's see. Do you think that they played as a team, says James Blackaby. Finished with 27 assists and 9 turnovers. I mean, Chandler finished with 8 assists on his own. I thought that Oweh in this game, despite only having 1 assist, did not force literally anything else. Well, actually, that's not true. He forced 1 shot at the end of the game, or into the first half, I should say. And it was that little like mid-range-ish floater, floater or turnaround the shot that he had. That was the only shot that I think he forced the entire game. Outside of that, the 21 points came naturally to him. By the way, no free throws in those 21 points. I mean, he was just knocking stuff down all game. I thought that Oweh played within himself, and against a team like this who's undersized, you can kind of slash your way to the rim pretty effectively. But I thought that Chandler was making some really nice passes and not forcing some shots. I thought that, again, Jasper played very well tonight. I thought Cam Williams, despite maybe not being able to buy an outside shot to save his life, I thought that he was in the right spots at the right time, making the right decisions. By the way, quick note, Jaylen Low and Cam Williams did not play the first half of this game. I don't know if it was an illness thing. That was something that was floating around earlier. I don't know if it was they were sitting because of disciplinary reasons in the first half, but Low came in. He played 8 minutes. He had 2 assists and a turnover. Didn't record any stats outside of that and a couple of fouls. Cam with 2 points. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists in 13 minutes of play in the second half. Marino, I thought, played well. I thought collectively, this was a good team effort. But again, as somebody in the chat just notes, this game meant nothing. At least he says that the game meant nothing. And I wouldn't necessarily say the game meant nothing. I just would say it didn't mean as much as we need it to. We need a game that is against a quality opponent, against a team that actually matters, where you go out there and you show consistent effort and you win. Please. But I thought the team effort tonight was good. Frank does say this game meant nothing, should have held them to less points until we beat a legitimate team. Nothing happened. I wouldn't necessarily say that we should have held them to less points, like significantly less points, excuse me, I'll say. But there were 4 or 5 baskets in this game, maybe, that I would have liked to have seen, again, either contested or just not happen at all. So somewhere in the high 50s, mid 50s, maybe. But I wouldn't say significantly less than this. NC Central did earn some of the points that they had. They just made some tough shots at various points, and then got to the line a little bit as well. It's basically the only thing that team does well. Noah was hitting his threes. Cam wasn't. That's right. Noah was, I think, again, knocking stuff down from the corner. And I said it at the beginning of the show. I thought Kentucky could have pushed to the corner a little bit more, which is with how they were playing zone. I mean, Kentucky had a lot of options against that 1-3-1 tonight. They elected to do some weird stuff on defense, and Kentucky had the dudes to just kind of exploit it all night, basically any way that they wanted to. Captain Crash says there were reports that Low and Cam were running the steps during practice. Maybe it was disciplinary. Okay, interesting. William says, hope Low can stay healthy. Him and Chandler did a great job of making the extra pass. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Only saw Low in 8 minutes tonight and haven't really seen him much at all this season. But after watching him against Louisville, against Valpo tonight in 8 minutes, does he actually change this team that much? Like genuine question. Does Jaylen Low actually bring the impact that we expected him to? Because right now I'm not really seeing it. Again, he's not really played a ton against quality competition, but I'm not really seeing the lasting effects of a guy that can dribble into the paint and make a play. Like, he's not really bringing you anything there. He also can't score with efficiency. He's also hurt. I don't know. When you have nights like this where Chandler's giving you 8 assists and just 1 turnover, how much value do you put in a 6'2", 165-pound guard that can't shoot if he can't produce passing the ball? Which, again, like, I'm not really seeing the serious effects of that. Like, I mean, we saw it a little bit earlier this season against Valpo, but now that Kentucky gets into a rhythm like this in this game, like, when they get into a rhythm, they don't need a guy like J-Lo if he's not going to be at least an average shooter, a decent playmaker, a good playmaker considering his size. So I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Nothing changed the offense. They just hit shots tonight. That's kind of where I'm sitting, Joseph. I mean, I didn't really see anything special outside of, I think Oweh and Chandler played with some patience. But as far as shot selection, as far as sets, as far as anything Kentucky is doing on that, and like, I didn't see anything special. And Pope said earlier this week, like, hey, we're overhauling everything. We're changing the way that we're approaching everything. I mean, cool, you scored 103 points against a no-name opponent you should have beaten by 1 million. But, like, again, how much does it actually matter here? I'm not quite sure. Chandler did turn down some good shots. He turned down some shots, man, and finished with 8 assists, I think, because of it. Hoosiers and NC Central, you are darn straight. That is absolutely true. That's going to be a much different team coming into Rupp on Saturday. Best thing to see this season is the walk-on score. Yeah, Zach Tao just canning that 3 from the corner at the end was pretty sweet. 502 Gutter Crew says, didn't we run Oweh at the point last year? We need him to put the ball in his hands and run offense through him. We actually did not. We didn't have him run point. When Kentucky didn't have Lamont Butler, what they typically did was play Colin Chandler and Travis Perry at the 1. Chandler at the end of the season was the guy who was trying to be a little bit better of a ball handler. Oweh was playing mostly off ball, but we would have moments like against Oklahoma where it's not running point. It's just go and get a bucket. He's not looking to pass. And frankly, this season, he's not really doing it again. So we didn't really run it Oweh at point. That was just like 2 games. And even then, like, he did stop subbing every 30 seconds, and for that, I'm grateful. That is something else I've kind of noticed. Like, he slowed down the substitutions a little bit. I think partially because he realizes players like Garrison just don't need to play, especially if they're not going to perform. I'm so sorry, chat. And Noah, this is not a reflection of who you are as a person. Unfortunately, we are going to have to ban you from this chat for the mention of Christian Leitner. I can't even believe I said his name out loud. Best of luck to you in your endeavors in the future, but we will not be speaking that name here. So we'll continue along. Let's wrap up the show here in just a little bit. Before we do it, though, and again, no, that's not a shot at you. I just find that very funny. But before we do it, though, tell you guys about our friends over at Game Time. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You can pull up the app, and the layout makes it really simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. You can pick a game, tap a section, have your tickets locked within minutes. There's no confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer as well. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat view before you buy. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. All right, wrapping up tonight's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hey, if you are in the live chat right now And there's 250 of you in here, which is just nuts. Appreciate you. Leave a question in the chat if you've got one. If you don't have a question, because I'm not some all-knowing czar of college basketball, leave a comment, leave me your take, leave me your opinion. We'll see if we can get to them here as we wrap the show. Sorry to Noah, who has been banned to the shadow realm, just cast into the void for mentioning his love of a certain basketball player that did not go to the University of Kentucky. Sorry. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, it had to be done. Oh, it's the hijack as a Louisville fan. As a Louisville fan, I hope you guys pick it up a little. You're killing our ratings. Hey, man, you could say much worse things about us tonight. I'm not gonna lie. You could say much harsher things. Actually, Christian saying the same way. I cannot believe there are like 3 Louisville fans that consistently watch this show, and y'all are 2 of them. I find it very funny. Appreciate you. Hey, I've continued to say you guys are a good team. Like obviously, I don't want to see you win, but I can at least respect who you are. Maybe the vacated natty. I don't know. It's a toss up. Nothing killed your ratings worse than. Oh, okay. The chat's getting into it. Finally seeing Pope have an emotion other than sunshine and statistics was refreshing. Yes, Snot. Unfortunately, I feel like you could say the same thing about me on this show. It's a lot of analytics. We haven't even mentioned Ken Palm yet. And I've got it pulled up and looking at it right now. Just because I don't mention it doesn't mean it's not here. But yeah, actually having an emotion and yelling at a player and getting upset, I like to see it. In fact, against Indiana, I know things are not going to go perfectly well. I'd like to see Mark Pope lose his stuff a little bit in that game if he can. Show some emotion. Show some energy. It's not always sunshine and daisies and statistics. Let's actually get into the grid a little bit here with the Cats. Great Kentuckian says, I did like that you pointed out it seems like the only players who have played with heart, even if they made mistakes, were the Kentucky boys. Thank you. I meant to get to that a little bit more in depth. I tweeted this out. I think I mentioned it on the show earlier. If I don't remember if I did. If so, if I not, I'm sorry. Also, several other questions that I want to get to here in a second. But Malachi Marino, Jasper Johnson, Trent Noah, are those the 3 best players on this roster? Many people are asking. Like, they just feel like extremely explosive players at various points for different reasons, with Jasper being able to shoot from beyond the arc, Noah being able to hit basically every other shot that he puts up, and the fact that he fights for rebounds and he has energy. Marino being a solid player down low, who does make mistakes at times, but again, he's a freshman. He finished with 14 and 7 tonight. I like it. Those are right now basically the 3 best players on this team, at least in my mind, in terms of like ceiling, like within a game, within their role. I think that Noah is a great spot up shooter that can be explosive. So is Jasper. Marino down low as a center. If he's playing, firing on all cylinders, he's a really, really, really good 7-footer. Something that we said about him over and over and over this. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think I've already said it on the show. I'll reiterate it here. Basically, the only thing that I got right this offseason about this team, because I've been horribly wrong about a lot of things to do with Kentucky. Basically, the only thing that I got right, and a lot of you did too, was the fact that Marino is a high floor, productive big that can do a lot of different things. And he's showing that as a freshman right now. He is able to produce as a young guy right now. I really like his development so far. Let's see. Let's scroll back up because I missed a couple of comments that I wanted to get to. How do you feel about Yelovich continuing to shoot threes? If he's wide open, take them. See if you can get this kid into a rhythm. See if you can make him into an Andrew Carr type. Because if you can, congratulations, you have recreated Andrew Carr, and he was so valuable to you a season ago. Actually, one of the most efficient things that Kentucky can do right now is Yelovich through post-ups. Crazy that that's even a reality. But Yelovich, if he's open, shoot it. I want to see this kid build some confidence. These are his first 10 games as a college basketball player. Just let him ease into it a little bit. He shot 2 of 4 tonight. I'm not like a huge fan, but if he is wide open in the corner, I think you got to let it fly. You got to see if you can get the kid going a little bit because nobody really is. Let's see. Can we cut Garrison? I don't think that's possible. How do y'all feel about IU this Saturday? To be honest with you, Christian, I don't feel that great about Indiana. And it's not because I'm like afraid of their talent. I'm afraid of their experience and their volatility. They are one of the more volatile teams in the country when it comes to outside shooting, and they love to shoot the three ball. They are very hot and cold. Jacob Goins, host of Locked On Hoosiers, a friend of mine, he and I have been talking a little bit for the last week or so about both of these teams. We're going to be crossing over on Thursday to break this one down, and he was like, yeah, it's basically going to come down to if it's a hot shooting night, Kentucky's not going to have a chance. If it's a cold shooting night, then Indiana's probably not going to have a chance. They're a very hot and cold, streaky team. So with the unpredictability that brings, not a huge fan. In fact, I think that's a big reason why a lot of people didn't want to see Kentucky last year. They were super experienced, and they could shoot the piss out of the ball every other night. And it was horrifying because it didn't matter if you were bigger, stronger, faster. If we could shoot that night, it was over. The game was over. So I'm interested to see what happens, but also nervous. I'm also worried. Let's see. Y'all are welcome that we beat Louisville. I do appreciate that. Just want to say something here, by the way, real quick, because Arkansas fans have been really harsh on Twitter, I will say, as of late. I want to see Arkansas win as long as it is not against Kentucky or it does anything to Kentucky in the SEC. I want to see Cal succeed. The man coached here for 15 years and he brought us a national championship. I want to see him succeed. I like him as a coach. I just don't want to see him succeed against my team, and I don't want to see him succeed in a way that hurts Kentucky in the SEC standings when it comes to what we're doing in the SEC tournament in the postseason. That's it. Outside of that, I'm rooting for him because he's at the end of his rope here, and he's at the end of his career. It's winding down. I want to see him go out on a positive note because of what he did for this university. That's how I feel about him. Let's see. I have no problem with Yelovich shooting some threes, but he needs work inside more. He's 6'11", should be helping rebounding. If he works inside more, gets a few more possessions. I do agree. I think he should be more aggressive on the glass. One thing I notice is when Oweh and Aberdeen are both on the floor, the offense slows down and is less consistent. I think you are right. I think you were correct on that. In fact, I think some different analytics websites would agree on that. I think Will Warren would probably agree with that as well, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Wilkerson has 20 in the first half right now. I already know he's going for 30 with 8 threes against UK. Well, knock on wood, Jay, but if he's hot now, I'd actually kind of hope he's cold on Saturday. But you may be right. You may be dead right. Who knows? That is kind of crazy that he has 20 in the first half. That's what Indiana can do. And it's not just Wilkerson, by the way. It's not just Wilkerson. Tucker DeVries is scary. Nick Dorn off the bench is scary. Like this is a scary shooting Indiana team. Very much so. I think Yelovich only shoots a lot because of that one time Pope made him run up the stairs. That might be it. The reason that Cal's doing well right now is because he absolutely needed something new. I agree. I think he needed a reset. That's the reason why he's succeeding right now. And again, we didn't fire him. He left, went to a new place, change of scenery, and he's finding success. Good for him. Good for him. We'll just give Lance some happiness before we play another P5 team. I'm sure we're among a few that still have 0 wins over P5 opponents. Yeah, especially in the SEC, if I had to guess. At least we're happy heading into it. At least I'm like, okay, 36-point win, whatever. Like, I can live with it. It's fine. Kentucky playing a YMCA basketball team, easy to look good. True. School of the Blind would hit 15 and Rupp. I'm not sure if they'd hit 15, but I mean, if they were shooting cold the night before, they might put some in the basket. Who knows? It's IU, no doubt. They literally were physically attacking our players last time UK played there. Yeah, it was rough. And based on what Louisville fans said earlier this week about their trip to Assembly Hall, Indiana fans are not maybe the nicest. I will say Jacob Goins is a great person. Host of Locked On Hoosiers. Y'all should go listen to him. If you have any interest in Hoosier ball. Chad, I think that's going to do it for tonight's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Been sitting here for 30 minutes. It's getting a little later. I, frankly, am exhausted. So I appreciate all of you tuning in. You can subscribe to the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can subscribe to me on Twitter at @LanceDaw_. And you could subscribe to the show, follow the show on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening, and God bless. And go Cats.